I'm gonna be honest with you, the one reason I want to film today's intro in this location is so that I can share that I have a new plant baby. Oh my gosh, a Wilma 2.0. Definitely needs a bigger pot, but this is too good. I had a really great time designing this month's spreads. They were fun to do, came very naturally, so hopefully there's something in this video that sparks some inspiration for you. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. For those of you who don't know, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for designing beautiful websites. I use it for my own site, CaitlinDesilva.com, and I'll be talking more about them in a little bit. If you're not already part of my newsletter fam, then what are you doing? May I ask? You should go click the link in the description box below, enter your information so you can start receiving Monday morning newsletters from me to you. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok, where I'm trying to be cool and make funny reels and TikTok videos when I'm not making videos on my YouTube channel. Lots of plugs happening here, so I'm gonna shut my mouth, let you enjoy the show. This month at a glance spread idea popped into my head randomly one day while I was making dinner and really became the foundation for the other spreads you'll see me create today. As you can already tell, before I started filming, I sketched out some bold letters spelling out April that you're now seeing me trace with one of my go-to black pens, the Sharpie S Gel. I'll have it linked below along with links to everything else I use in today's video. But the Sharpie S Gel was imperative to use here because it dries so fast and it doesn't bleed when I use it with colors, which as you're seeing is important. I'm using my mild liner in pink to fill in these letters with color. It's been quite a while since I've used my mild liner highlighter in a Plan With Me video, but creating this month's pages with it reminded me why I love them so much. I just adore when you can get reacquainted with items that you have had in your stationery collection for years. It's like discovering them for the first time all over again, and these are such staples. After the filling in was complete, I pasted in 8 columns of an off-white cardstock paper. These columns are what will become the actual calendar. There's a column for each day of the week and an extra column for any notes or to-do items on the far right. I love symmetry, so having 8 columns instead of 7 just makes my eyeballs a little extra satisfied. April really marks the beginning of a new season, so it was important for me to use color in this month's designs, and pink was just the color that was screaming out to me, and you'll see me use it in all of the other spreads in this Plan With Me. I feel like color is such an easy way to make a month of pages feel cohesive and connected together, even if you are using different layouts and styles in each page. The calendar itself ended up being pretty minimal, with just some pink dots highlighting the number of each day of the month, but I love that I used paper columns because it allows the April writing in the back to really pop out. The letters just made for a really funky background pattern. If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, wow, Caitlin, these spreads are so beautiful that I want to look at them forever. Well, I have great news, my friend, because you can access photos of all of my bullet journal spreads on CaitlinDesilva.com, and that's all thanks to Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes starting, designing, and updating a blog of your own easier than ever. Squarespace has a vast array of beautiful templates to choose from, so your website can look clean and professional without the help of a graphic designer. I use the template Stanton for my site, but there are also templates that have been optimized for online stores, portfolios, and more that can all be previewed before you choose a design. You can take the personalization step further by making changes to each template's fonts for headings, paragraphs, buttons, and more. So if you've been wanting to start a blog talking about your tips and tricks for keeping plants alive, or looking for a place on the web to share your portfolio of work with potential clients, Squarespace has got you covered. And even better news, you can check out squarespace.com today for a free trial and use the URL squarespace.com/Caitlin's Corner to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain when you're ready to launch. Last month, I created a spread dedicated to a spring cleaning checklist, which, side note, I'm very excited to be starting that process in my apartment. I'm going to be documenting and sharing some of it, so stay tuned for that. With this spread, however, instead of necessarily talking about just decluttering in an organization sense, I'm focusing on other forms of declutter too. There's 4 boxes on the left page, each with enough space for me to make mini lists within 4 categories: subscriptions to cancel, habits to drop, areas to declutter, and thoughts to let go of. I'm feeling extra excited for the subscriptions to cancel section because I always like to regularly check in and see where I can be cutting back. I don't mind subscriptions, but it's easy for you to be paying for something you're not actively using, and I'd rather be on top of canceling things when I'm not interested in them at the moment and then just restarting the subscription when I am, rather than racking up unnecessary monthly expenses. I used the same lettering style from the previous spread to make the title for this page. You'll notice though, I don't use this type of bold lettering again in the other pages because, in all honesty, it's a bit of a tedious one to execute. I filled in the rest of the page with some basic shapes that I had originally planned to fill in with that same pink color that I used on the title, but I felt like it would make the spread a bit too busy, so I really liked that I made the decision to fill in the shapes with simple lines instead. I think it ends up allowing for the pink in the title to pop a lot more rather than to overwhelm the page and distract. Instead of creating a gratitude log for April, I was more intrigued with the idea of creating a memory log for me to write down one good thing that happened every day in April. In many ways, my gratitude entries can be repetitive, but a memory log always has variety that is fun to look back on in the future. The spread itself is nothing special, just a simple 1 to 30 numbered list with a little spot next to each number for me to record the memory, but the heading at the top makes it a bit more fun. Although I didn't keep the pattern of blocked letters going on, I did carry through some of those shapes from the left page over to the right to make it all click. I wanted these next 2 pages to be a spot for me to record some April goals and record keeping, but I didn't want it to just be 2 pages filled with lists, so I thought of this idea of creating the scene of a desk setup so it looks like my lists are pinned up images on a wall in front of me. Again, this was a scene I pre-penciled out to make sure I was okay with the spacing and the look, so the first thing I'm doing here is just retracing over everything with a black pen. One of my favorite doodles on this page is probably the lamp because it's a very simple doodle to draw out, but it adds such office energy to the scene. On the desk, I also included some of the things I usually have on my own desk in real life, like my file folder that houses some loose notebooks, a stack of books, which, if I'm being honest with you, is usually something you can find on nearly every surface in my apartment, a coffee mug, of course, and a cup of pens. These kinds of spreads are always a little bit more special because you can really use your own space as inspiration. On the wall portion of the spread, I created various sized rectangles to house different information. One is for recording any movies or TV shows I watched during the month. I'm especially looking forward to watching season 2 of Bridgerton. My body is ready for it. A section to record books I want to read, aka my TBR list. Some small goals that I have for the month on some doodled sticky notes. And even on the top left of the page, a couple songs that end up being on repeat throughout the month. You're seeing me once again use my mile liner to add pops of color into the scene, but I feel like almost looking back at this spread that I feel inspired to create a plan with me that uses pencil crayons to its full effect, because I think this layout would look beautiful if it was fully colored in, because there's so many details that you could have fun with. This week at a glance spread is one I can see myself repeating quite a bit because the layout is so easy to put together, so it's ideal for those weeks where you don't have time for something fancy. Each day of the week gets its own good chunk for recording vertical lists, including a general list for the week, and then in the middle columns is where you can customize some extra fun for the week. The pop of pink comes from the drop shadow you're seeing me add to each of the titles for the days of the week. I'm using the inner column this time around to house a mini gratitude log where I can write down something I'm grateful for each day. On the right pages column are some small spots for me to record meal ideas for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And on the bottom left is a little positive reminder to quote unquote enjoy the gifts of today, which is a reminder I think we all occasionally really need to hear. Question I'm always curious to know, and I'm going to ask again, is which spread in this plan with me captured your attention? If I had to pick a favorite, I think the dashboard office desk setup is just something so different from what I usually do that it's making me very happy when I look at it. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to click the link in the description box below to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Like the video if you enjoyed it, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and I will see you all shortly with a new video. Until then, see you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. That's all the rhyming I've got now. Okay, bye.